You know what happens when you're the last person at a house party and suddenly realise everyone else coupled up and left? That moment when you're holding a warm beer, looking at empty pizza boxes, understanding that you've been abandoned without anyone saying a word. That's the exact feeling most men live with every day in their relationships, abandoned while she's still sitting right next to them. Today, I'm giving you the verbal nuclear codes that will flip this dynamic instantly. But here's the thing. These words are so powerful, so devastating to the female ego, that most of you will be too scared to ever use them. And that's exactly why you'll stay stuck in the same miserable loop forever. I've seen it countless times. A man walks into a relationship standing tall, full of confidence, his own person. 6 months later, he's asking permission to see his own friends. A year later, he's apologising for breathing too loud. 2 years, he doesn't even remember who he was before her. She's managed to completely reprogram him, and the sickest part is he thinks this is love. He thinks this constant walking on eggshells, this endless need for her approval, this suffocating control. He thinks this is what relationships are supposed to be, but let me tell you what's really happening. Every time she tests you and you fail, every time she pushes and you bend, every time she threatens and you beg, you're not saving the relationship, you're killing it. You're murdering her attraction one weak response at a time. Because deep in her DNA, deeper than any feminist ideology or modern relationship advice, she needs you to be stronger than her. And every time you prove you're not, a little piece of her love dies. The crown I'm talking about isn't just metaphorical. You can actually see it in how she walks, how she talks to you, how she looks at you, or more accurately, how she looks through you. Like you're not even there. Like you're furniture that occasionally dispenses money and validation. And the bigger that crown gets, the smaller you become, until eventually you're nothing more than a servant in her kingdom, and she's disgusted by what you've let yourself become. As you probably heard, there's this thing called the shit test paradox. Women test men to see if they're strong, but the very act of constantly testing actually weakens most men over time. It's like erosion. Each test takes away a little bit of your backbone until there's nothing left but a hollow shell that says yes, dear, to everything. And here's the kicker. She hates you for it. She hates that you've become weak, even though her tests are what weakened you. She hates that you fail, even though she set you up to fail. She hates what you've become, even though she created it. You know what happens when you're standing in line at the DMV for 3 hours? You start to accept that misery is just part of the process. That's exactly what happens in relationships. Men get so used to the constant testing, the manipulation, the drama, that they think this is normal. They think every man goes through this. They look at other couples and assume behind closed doors every guy is getting the same treatment. Wrong. Dead wrong. Some men figured out the code. Some men learned the words that shut this down cold. So let's get into the weapons. The first phrase that absolutely destroys a woman's ego, and you need to pay attention because this one cuts deep, is telling her she's ordinary. Not in a mean way, not in an angry way, but in a matter-of-fact way. You know, when we met, I thought you were different. Special. But you're just like every other woman I've known. Same insecurities, same games, same drama. You're completely predictable. The reason this devastates women is because every woman believes she's the exception. She's not like other girls. She's unique. She's different. She's the special one who's going to be different in your life. When you casually inform her that she's just another actress, playing the same tired role, reading from the same script every other woman uses, something fundamental breaks in her self-perception. There was this case outside a restaurant, couple arguing. She's going off about how he doesn't appreciate her uniqueness, how he doesn't see how special she is. And this guy, calm as a lake, just says, "Special? You're doing exactly what my ex did. Word for word. It's like you all have the same playbook." She went silent. Not quiet, silent. Like her brain couldn't process what just happened. Because for the first time, someone held up a mirror and showed her she wasn't the star of her own movie. She was just an extra in everyone else's. The second weapon, and this one is perhaps even more powerful, is showing complete indifference to her leaving. She threatens to walk out. You hold the door open. She says she needs space. You say, "Take all the time you need, I've got plans anyway." She mentions her ex is texting her. You say, "That's nice, maybe you two can work things out." You see, every threat she makes is based on one assumption, that you're terrified of losing her. The moment you show not just acceptance but preference for her leaving, her entire reality crumbles. It's like she's been playing poker thinking she has a royal flush, and you just showed her you weren't even playing the same game. This happened to someone who tried the classic manipulation. I think we should see other people. You know what this usually is, right? She wants you to fight for her, to prove your commitment, to beg her to reconsider. Instead, he said, I think that's a brilliant idea. In fact, there's someone I've been wanting to ask out. Thanks for making this easy. The look on her face? Priceless. She literally stammered, trying to take it back, suddenly explaining how she didn't really mean it, how she was just testing to see if he cared. The third thing that shatters a woman's crown, her sexual self-image. Every woman believes her sexuality is her superpower. It's the ace up her sleeve, the nuclear option, the thing that makes her irreplaceable in your life. When you casually, almost dismissively, indicate that sexually she's nothing special, just average, maybe even below average, the psychological impact is like a nuclear bomb going off in her ego. You don't say this crudely. You don't say it to hurt. You say it as a simple observation. Honestly, the physical part of our relationship has always been just, okay, I've had much more passionate connections, but that's fine. Not everyone can be exceptional in that area. Then you continue whatever you were doing, like you just commented on the weather. Watch what happens. She won't respond immediately. She'll go quiet, processing what just happened. Because you just took her ultimate weapon and told her it's a toy gun. You just took what she thought was her strongest card and revealed it's actually a 2 of clubs. And unlike other insults that she can deflect or rationalize, this one sticks because deep down, every woman fears she might actually be ordinary in bed. But here's what most men get wrong. They think these are attacks. They're not. They're responses. They're antibiotics for a relationship infected with manipulation. You don't use antibiotics when you're healthy. You don't use these weapons when things are good. You use them when she's been wielding her own weapons against you, when she's been using manipulation, threats, and emotional terrorism to control you. There's another element nobody talks about, the comparison game. Women constantly compare their relationships to others. They see their friend's boyfriend buying expensive gifts, and suddenly you're not romantic enough. They see some couple on social media, and suddenly your relationship is boring. But here's what destroys them when you flip the comparison. You know, Jake's girlfriend never complains about guys' nights. Sarah never threatens to leave when she doesn't get her way. Maybe I picked the wrong type of woman. Watch how quickly she stops comparing when the comparison doesn't favour her. Let me tell you about the agreement method, because this one breaks women's brains completely. She makes a statement designed to hurt you, to make you defensive. Maybe I should just find someone who appreciates me. The weak man's response. No, baby, I appreciate you. Please don't leave. The strong man's response. You know what? You're absolutely right. You deserve someone who makes you happy, and clearly that's not me. I'll help you pack. She says you're not a real man? Agree. You're right. A real man wouldn't tolerate this behaviour. Thanks for pointing that out. She says the spark is gone? I've been feeling the same way. We should probably end this before we waste more of each other's time. The agreement method works because women's attacks are rarely actual statements. They're tests disguised as declarations. When you agree instead of defending, you break the entire framework of the test. It's like someone throwing a punch expecting resistance, but you step aside and let them fall face first into their own momentum. You probably heard about this. Video went viral on social media. Woman berating her man in public, saying he's pathetic, he's weak, he's not what she thought he was. And this guy, instead of arguing, just nods and says, "You're absolutely right. I am pathetic for putting up with this. That changes today." Then he literally just walked away. Left her standing there in the middle of the mall. The comments were full of women saying he was wrong to abandon her, but also full of men saying it was the first time they'd seen someone handle it perfectly. Here's something else that destroys the female ego. Showing you're happier without her. When she leaves expecting you to fall apart, but instead you thrive. You don't chase. You don't call. You don't text paragraphs about how much you miss her. Instead, you live. And not just live, you live better. You're suddenly doing all those things she said were immature. You're seeing those friends she said were bad influences. You're pursuing those hobbies she called waste of time. She expected her absence to be your punishment. Instead, it becomes your vacation. She thought she was the sun in your solar system. Instead, she realizes she was just clouds blocking your light. This creates what psychologists call an existential crisis. Her entire self-worth was built on being essential to your happiness, and you just proved she was actually preventing it. As you might have heard, this pattern is so predictable it's almost scientific. Woman leaves dramatically, expecting the man to chase. Man doesn't chase, starts posting pictures of him genuinely enjoying life. Woman suddenly has an emergency that requires his help. Man doesn't respond. Woman shows up at his place to get her things that she doesn't actually need. Man is polite but distant. Woman suddenly wants to talk about us, every single time, like clockwork. You know what happens when you truly understand female psychology? You realize they're playing a game they don't even know they're playing. It's not calculated, it's instinctive, like a bird building a nest or a spider spinning a web. They create these elaborate emotional traps not because they're evil, but because it's their nature. And just like you wouldn't get angry at a scorpion for stinging, that's what scorpions do. You shouldn't get angry at women for testing, that's what women do. But here's the difference. Unlike the scorpion, women actually want you to avoid the sting. They want you to be smart enough, strong enough, aware enough to not fall for it. Every test is secretly a plea. Please be strong enough that I don't have to be. Every manipulation is actually a prayer. Please see through this so I can finally respect you. There was this psychological study done in Stockholm where they monitored couples during conflict. They found that when men maintained emotional stability during female emotional outbursts, the women's stress hormones actually decreased faster than when men tried to comfort them. Think about that. Her biology literally calms down when you don't react to her chaos. Her body is telling her, finally a man who won't break. You know what's the most powerful position in any relationship? It's not being the one who loves more or less. It's being the one